Every year, hundreds of thousands of visitors make a pilgrimage to Cooperstown, New York. Some are there to watch exciting 12U baseball. Others visit what is perhaps the best-known sports shrine in the world, the Baseball Hall of Fame. You probably know many of the players inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame with St. Louis ties. Their heroics are legendary. Hornsby, Dean, Musial, Gibson, Brock. The images of those Cardinals players are painted on the left field wall in Busch Stadium.
Their retired numbers are painted on the wall, but there's only 13. There's 55 members of the Cardinal franchise in the Hall of Fame. So wait a minute, who are these other men?
And what about the 9 men from the American League's St. Louis Browns, or the 37 members of the Negro Leagues in the Baseball Hall of Fame who also have St. Louis ties? Baseball historian Ed Wheatley wanted to know more, and now he's sharing the answers with baseball fans everywhere with his latest book, From St. Louis to Cooperstown, Legends Born and Made in the Gateway City.
Over 50% of the induction classes have had someone who has St. Louis roots that played here or grew up here. I grew up in baseball because of my dad. He played professional baseball. St. Louis had one of the greatest semi-pro leagues in the late 50s and early 60s than anywhere in the country. And I was a bat boy for those teams. And, you just lived it. And it was also a time where, baseball was always so special.
Wheatley's book is a treasure trove of nostalgia and trivia, intricately woven into the stories of some of St. Louis's most beloved players.
It's telling not only the history of who these individuals are, but it's a trip through the evolution of baseball, because we start all the way back in the 1880s with these players. And to be the greatest baseball town in America, you need to know the whole history, and that's why I wrote the book. So the pictures are fantastic. You're going to just create memories by reading the stories. Like, I remember that game, I remember that story, or this player, and they're all in there.
The book, filled with historical photos and trinkets of information, showed the journey of players who found their way from St. Louis to Cooperstown. One was named after a president and later played by a future president in a movie about his life story. Another held a distinction you may not have heard about.
He's sitting on 714.
In April 1974, Hank Aaron is chasing Babe Ruth's all-time career home run record. And, the world is fixated on that. Well, as I was doing my research, I got one of those Harry Carey, holy cow moments where there was a man who held that career home run record for over a quarter of a century, over 25 years before Babe Ruth. He was a part of the St. Louis Cardinals franchise. Roger Connor was the home run career leader before Babe Ruth. And so it's that depth of history and things that are exciting. Cool Papa Bell is just, one of those legacy players. It inducted him for his play in the Negro Leagues. He never made it to the major leagues because it was prior to Jackie Robinson's 1947 breaking the barrier. But they couldn't find him to tell him, you're inducted into the Hall of Fame. And they went a search across the city, and they found out he was a janitor over in City Hall, and he was down in the basement of City Hall, and that's how he found out he had been elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame. There's even one guy who had 2 innings in one game, but he's in the Hall of Fame. And women, how does a player, have 2 innings, but he makes it to the Hall of Fame? Those are what makes this great story in the book. This is just not about the Cardinals, and this takes nothing away. I'm here to promote the Cardinals as the second greatest team in the history of baseball. Only the Yankees have more world championships. But it's to remember the great men who played for the Browns over those 52 years. And there were 66 men who played for both teams. It's also, to me, so much about the Negro Leagues. And it's really something to teach this culture that we had here.
Wheatley, who still steps up to the plate in the senior leagues, loves talking with fellow baseball fans and sharing his research and experiences.
It's going back, reliving memories that you watched or you read about, And you do the same thing here in the St. Louis Baseball Hall of Fame here with the Cardinals. I mean, it's a walk down memory lane for anyone who just loves baseball.